Hey, what's up, guys? You're listening to the It Takes a Village podcast. I'm Ashley, your host. This is where the struggles are real, the callings are heavy, the kids are sticky. We come together because it takes a village, and this is your tribe. Hey guys, what's up? Another marriage full disclosure episode. We're going to talk about a topic that was suggested from one of my It Takes a Village mom tribers Facebook group. And it was that basically how we refer to husbands as babysitters for our own children, or how society sees, like when somebody comes up to you and they say, oh, your husband's watching the kids tonight, you know, like as if it's a bonus thing that they do, or like that it's not something that they can manage or of that sort. So husbands babysitting their own children, I'm going to go ahead and start by saying that I do not refer to you as a babysitter for our kids. It's your job. It's part of being a dad. Like, this is a partnership. We both care for the kids equally. Yeah?
Okay, can I add it? First of all, I agree. But can I add a caveat?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you grateful that I do that and that I'm willing to do that?
Yes, 100%. I know a lot of husbands, I don't know a lot of husbands. Let me say, rewind. I know that it's common. Frequently, I've heard women say, like, my husbands won't take the kids to the games. They won't take them to the recital. They won't give them a bath. They don't know how to do X, Y, Z. You do that 100%. You do it well. I trust you. I can go out of town and I have no worries that they're going to end up running around in the street naked.
That they're going to survive.
Yeah.
I mean, they did run around in the street naked last time, but...
Did they?
No, they didn't.
Okay. I was like, whoa. Never again.
Yeah. But so I think for one, this conversation is...
You're so official. You sound like a radio
Why?
Station person. I think for one,
Except
like
for
you sound
I hate
like
the
you need
sound
to be
of my
on
own voice.
You need to be on NPR or something. Anyways, go ahead.
So I think the conversation, like from a man's standpoint, is, or actually, let me flip this on the head.
No. I think, okay, maybe I know where you're going. I don't know. I totally interrupted you.
So first of all, like, if you're constantly telling your husband
that's exactly where I was going.
He's doing it wrong,
right?
When he's then what do you expect,
right?
And I think that there's
100%.
a lot of women that the men would be fine watching the kids or doing whatever needs to be done
without the wife nitpicking.
Yeah,
or going behind them and doing it over again.
Well, it's also the expectation of, like, the wife saying, I can't leave my husband alone because my kids are going to end up running around naked in the streets, or whatever excuse they want to make up.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm
like,
sorry.
It'll be okay if they have one night of marshmallows for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
Yeah. I think that is probably, like, the number one issue, is that we can't let go.
Yeah.
Like, we like it done a certain way. We get in a routine. We expect the husbands to just pick up where we left off and do it exactly the same, but we are two different people. And so it's going to be done differently.
Now, I'll also say on the other side of that, like, if you have a husband that's like, no, I'm not going to watch the kids, or I can only, you have two kids and I can only watch one kid at a time.
Yeah.
Like, that's BS. Like,
right.
Man up. But
watch
if it's
some YouTube videos on how to take.
Yeah, like if there's, I feel like personally, and I could be completely wrong, because just like our last episode, like, I'm not running around having these conversations with women.
Right. But are you?
No.
I'm just kidding.
But I do feel like a lot of the times it's women who say,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't leave them alone with the kids because nothing will get done, or...
Oh, yeah. They're very open about it.
Yeah. And so especially if, for one, I want you to get out of the house. Let me finish.
Okay.
Ashley has a terrible, terrible problem of of when I'm like making a statement, she like immediately jumps to like, okay, what's the worst case? And she'll try to finish my sentence.
I just think it's hilarious because in my head you're like, I want Ashley to get out of the house because she freaking annoys me. Like,
yeah, and it's not what I was gonna say at all.
She's irritating.
Yeah. So what I was going to say was I want her to get out of the house and go like be able. First and foremost, I want Ashley to flourish.
Yeah.
So I know that if all she has is home and all she has is work,
I'm gonna be awful to be around.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. So like getting her out of the house to go to a baby shower, to go do a girls' night or a mom's night out with moms from the school or whatever. Like I'm like, yes, go. I've got it. And most of the time, she would rather be here with us.
Right. But not because I want to control the situation or I don't believe that you can do it.
Right,
because I genuinely like to be home with you guys.
Yeah.
But I agree that I think and for type A women like myself, who I think over the years I've learned to let go. And when you just let go and just like don't worry about it and you just push yourself to let them do it, let them put the diaper on backwards, like what's the worst that's going to happen? I think that's kind of what you've taught me.
I've never put a diaper on backwards just for
right, but I'm just saying like I think that we think that we like what is the worst? Like if we honestly just dissected all the reasons why we don't let our husbands watch the kids or do the dishes, or like I think for me like you put the dishes in totally backwards, then I would do it. And I don't like I will tell you like, hey, this is how I can fit the most in, but I wouldn't go behind you and like redo them.
Right.
And I wouldn't.
And if you did, I would never do dishes again.
Right, because that puts off the idea of like why would I do it if you're just gonna turn around and do it over? Then I might as well let you do it.
Right.
So I think that for us, like, it's
really
really hard.
Or the way I used to fold towels.
Right, which now I fold the towels like that because I like it like that. But it's taken me 7 years to get there. So I think that it's totally okay to be nervous about it, to be worried about it, especially if you have little ones and your bond is so tight and you don't want to leave them and, all these things. But I think that giving them the freedom to make mistakes, to learn, because for some of us it comes naturally, like for women, it comes naturally, and it's something that we've done. We've taken care of our siblings and whatever. And so I think that letting them make mistakes, figuring it out, and just the fact that we trust you guys to do it is like enough for you guys to do it.
Yep. And I'll also add, if you can work out the timing of this to where sometimes for you, I know it's just going to the grocery store alone.
Yes.
And that's ended up being like our rhythm on Sundays. Mm-hmm. It works out perfect because I can watch football while I do the laundry.
Yeah.
And she's out running around doing groceries by herself, so she didn't have to haul the kids around.
Right.
I make the kids pick up their own rooms, and then they get to play on whatever device they get to play on. Or Legos or whatever.
Right, but I think it's harder for the women who have littler kids though, because then you're more hands-on and they feel like their husbands can't do it. Like, I don't know why that's a good point. So what I would personally do, and our rhythm of life looked a little bit different when we had the little smaller kids, as I'm probably not going to get a whole lot of laundry folded, but because I'm going to be focusing on the kid while I watch football on Sundays while you're gone. Oh my gosh.
I don't know what I'm going to do once football season's over, but yeah, so like
it's like easy. Just playing with them.
Yeah.
Like who cares if the house is a mess?
For the women who's listening to this, like it's not going to be done the way you want it to be done.
Yeah.
And it's not, you're probably more efficient at getting stuff done around the house than they are.
Right, because we get into a routine. Like, we've gotten into a routine. Yeah. We've had time to, like, okay, you do this and then do this, and it works out smoothly, and you don't offer this before this because we know it makes them throw a tantrum. Like, those are the things that they're going to have to figure out themselves.
You know where every spice is. You know where every medicine is. You know where you have the kids' rooms organized the way that you wanted to organize them. And that's because, especially at the beginning of our marriage, like I was working 80 hours a week and you were stay-at-home mom, right? And
Yeah.
so for you to come in and think that I'm going to know everything that you've been working on for the last 7 years, like, of course I'm not, but I can figure it out. Like,
Right.
before you came along, I took care of myself and made sure that, that I survived. And
Right. And so I think that's the thing of like I said, you've taught me is always when you're worried about something to think, okay, so like what is the worst thing that can happen from that? And then when we really dissect that, like what is the worst thing that can happen if he puts the diapers on backwards? Well, then they pee all over the place and he has to change them again. Like, and then you have extra laundry to do. Oh, well.
Yeah.
Or like, we have to steam clean the carpet. Oh, well. Or whatever. Or like, what happens if...
Or if you don't want to think like that, you can just take all of the kids with you every time you go to the grocery store and
never be separated ever again. They go everywhere with you. But it's not, so that's that aspect of it. But I think that the term of the fact that we even refer to our husbands as babysitting, or that society thinks that oh, your husband is watching the kids. That's so not like how lucky are you that he would do that for you? Like, I think that that's what sometimes society does, as far as, because they assume that it should be you.
I mean, for one, that's on them.
Right.
Like, first and foremost. And then two, like, even if you want to call it babysitting, like, the label itself is not going to always be the same or mean the same for everybody.
Right.
So,
that's true.
For one, I think, like, yes, if your husband's willing to do that, you should be grateful. But he should also be grateful if you're watching the kids while he goes to a football game or has to go to a company deal.
Right.
Or,
I don't think of it as like...
Because it's teamwork. It should be
right,
teamwork.
that's what I don't think it's that one of us is going out on a limb for the other or whatever, like doing something extra that's like, okay, like he should like...
I shouldn't get applause or a standing ovation for doing it.
Right.
And at the same time, you should be grateful, but... Well, because when the roles are reversed and I'm doing something and you're watching the kids and having to put the kids down alone at night, I'm grateful for that, and I should be grateful for that. Mm-hmm. And I think if you start with gratitude at any part in your marriage, like, you're set up to win long term.
Yeah. So, okay, what about the women that are listening who have husbands who do not like watching the kids or do not feel comfortable with their wives leaving them at home with the kids, whether it's because they don't like it or because... So, wait, let me back up. Whether it's because they don't feel comfortable, like they can manage it. Like some men genuinely don't feel like they can nail it 100% like their wives can, so they would rather their wives take their kids. So like how do women approach their husbands to have them be more hands-on I'm asking you from a male perspective, like how, like...
So I feel like you asked 20 different questions all at once. So I will say that first and foremost, if it's the wife that feels like the husband can't do it, mm-hmm. is that because your expectation is done exactly the same way you would do it? To
where he already feels like you're setting up for failure, so he doesn't even want to approach it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if that's the case...
Then that's why.
Yeah. Then you need to have a conversation, say like, hey... I thought about this.
Yeah, I struggle. I think that you would have to say, I struggle with the idea of letting go because I just like to have things just so. I want you to have more time, more hands-on with the kids. I want you to feel like I'm not going to judge you in your role in this parenthood relationship. I'm just gonna I'm gonna work on it. I know I'm gonna get onto you sometimes because I'm learning, but I want this to be an equal partnership of parenting. And let's try this.
And if that's the case, and that's the conversation, the way it starts, and you're already adding the caveat of, hey, I may get onto you sometimes. But you also have to give him the freedom to call you out when you're getting onto him. That's true. Unnecessarily.
Right, okay. Continue on with your statement then.
So, the other part is if he is genuinely saying, like, just trying to punt on that responsibility, because I don't think that's the majority of the cases, but
there are some
I would be
cases.
naive to think that
Right.
it doesn't happen. So if he is just trying to punt on that responsibility, then I mean, you do have to have a sit down conversation and be like, hey, like this is important to me. Like,
Right. I feel like I'm carrying the load.
yeah, like, and so.
It took 2 of us to make the babies.
So
It takes 2 of us to take care of them.
Well, I'll say this. So there have been a lot of studies done that show that the beginning and the easiest predictor and most accurate predictor of divorces is if one spouse is showing resentment or contempt for the other.
So if I'm resenting you for not taking care of the kids,
Right.
then that is what is going to break it.
And so if there's ever an issue that you resent me over, which if I had to guess, I would say that there have been times in our marriage where that probably was the case.
Right.
And we talked about those things and worked through those things and moved past them, right? Which means that I had to somehow concede to you and vice versa. Then that's what it's going to take to have a successful marriage.
Right.
And so just like we talked about with the should you have, friends of the opposite sex, like I have to put your needs and honor you, right? And so if there's any issue, whether it's watching kids or anything like that, like if you come to me and say like, hey, this is really an issue, this is really bothering me, then I have to take that seriously and let a little piece of me go. Because again, two become one.
Right.
When you're talking about marriage. Like if you're just going to continue to be 2 individuals, you might as well not get married.
Right. I also think it depends on your personality. Like if you genuinely want your kids not to eat marshmallows for breakfast, lunch, and dinner when your husband's watching them because you know that's all he knows how to make.
Which, like, just to clarify, that's never happened when Ashley's on.
Right. I don't know why I'm referring to that all the time, but is that like I remember one time I went out of town and I legitimately made like meals. Like I pre-made meals for you guys.
Which I was super grateful for.
So all you had to do was like either put it in the oven or microwave it, and I put Post-its like this is breakfast, this is lunch, this is dinner, this is breakfast, and you could pick whichever you wanted to use.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, I'm just saying like if you want to have control in that way, like that's going to be the work that you have to be willing to put in when
and
you're
I will
gone.
say,
and then if you want to have less to prepare for when you leave, then you have to leave it up to them to trust that it's okay if they eat chicken nuggets for breakfast and they eat a sandwich with chips and Oreos for lunch, and then at dinner they eat pizza. Like if it's one night or if it's a week, they're gonna survive. Like just for them to enjoy that time with your husband is gonna be worth all the mess that you have to clean up, all the stuff, and then it'll get better. I feel like it also gets better every time you let them have the practice of doing that.
Well, I mean, just like any mom, when you started out as a mom,
right,
you had to learn all those things.
How to balance all the things.
Yeah. And so your husband more than likely has never had that opportunity to learn how to juggle all those things.
Right.
Right.
So he's
and it depends,
learning later.
Yeah. And so I know I can speak to our situation. I can't speak to everybody's situation. But early on in our marriage and when our kids were younger, I was working 80 hours a week and you were holding down the home front.
Right.
And so you were extremely efficient in that and had everything on point.
Right.
And there was no way that me coming in
could pick that up right away.
Well, you had 5 years worth of practice at nailing it and being super efficient.
Managing nap time.
Yeah, there's no way that I could match your efficiency in that, for a week, the first week that I'm without 5 years of practice.
Right.
So
for us to expect that from our spouse is like insane.
Yeah. And at the same time, just like you said, like I didn't have any expectations that you would meal prep us for that week that you were out of town. But at the same time, I was super grateful.
Because it was one less thing that you had to do.
Yeah, it was one less thing. And if you hadn't done it, I would have figured it out. I would have made sure the kids would go.
Chicken nuggets.
Chipotle.
There are healthy fast food choices. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay, so it is not babysitting if your husband watches the kids. I think that if it is an issue...
And if somebody calls it babysitting, don't get offended.
Right, because everybody has a different version. And you do you at the end of the day, like you guys need to do you. And if it is an issue, I think if it genuinely is like my husband was saying, causes resentment in you, like it irritates you and you're talking about it to other women, your other women friends have, like he won't ever watch the kids, he doesn't take him to this, he doesn't do that, then it is an issue and then it does need to be addressed. And yes, it's probably going to blow things up for a while because it is an issue and you've let it go so long, but it has to be talked about. And I think just approaching it as like, I would like it if you did this more, and then I don't know. Right.
I will say if it's causing resentment, regardless of the topic, even if it's something different than this, don't just come and say, I would like it if you X, Y, Z.
So don't do
because,
that.
Well,
right.
Well, there's a difference because, like, if it's causing resentment, then it's like, no, hey, like, we need to really talk about this. Yeah. This is something I'm really, really struggling with. Versus, hey, I'd just like it if you cleaned up a little bit better.
That's true, because then it sounds like a bonus thing that you would like.
Yeah. Okay. Because if there's anything that's like starting to cause resentment,
then it's serious
for you towards me. Yeah. Like, I want to hit that head on. Versus there's a lot of just little things that may annoy you or you may want me to change. That's like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to load the dishes the exact same way that you would load the dishes because my brain thinks differently than you. Right. And so if the way I load dishes is causing resentment, that's probably something you need to deal with in your own heart. Right. But like, if it's something that I'm not doing around the house, or that I'm just not even trying to help around the house. Yeah. Or that I completely punt on trying to watch the kids. Mm-hmm. Then yeah, like that's definitely something we need to sit down and have a heart-to-heart about. And also not expecting that when you have this heart-to-heart that they're going to agree to everything you want them to do 100%. Like, you can't come to the table and say, like, I really wish you would watch the kids more, but I don't want you to watch TV while they're doing it. I don't want you to feed them chicken nuggets while you're doing it. I don't, like, that's going to make them want to step out already. Like, you can't come to the table with, like, I need help in this, but I also want you to do this in that way. So let's look at it from another way. So right now, like, the Me Too movement is all the rage, right? And we live in this society that's like this ultra feminist. Well, not just that, but it's just like social outrage to where like everything is like a reason for somebody to, blast somebody on the Facebook. Yeah. So, but if you dive into Me Too, like, nobody would ever, like, if I said, you have to chop the wood exactly this way every single time you do it. Yeah. And that's what I was putting on you. Mm-hmm. Like, that would be completely outrageous for me to say. Yeah. Or, I expect you to take out the trash in exactly this sequence, or just anything that the man typically does. For me to say it has to be done exactly this way would be outrageous. So for a woman to tell a man, hey, you have to watch the kids exactly this way. Mm-hmm. Like, so I'm not a grown up. Like, I can't make decisions now. And so like, if you want to talk to me like a child, then you watch the kids. Right. And so I think that you have to approach it as, again, like we talked about before, to become one. Mm-hmm. And that means I have to compromise, and that means you have to compromise. Right. And that means we have to talk about it, and we have to be open about it, and we can't be offended by what each other says. Mm-hmm. And we have to be honest. And it means that, like, yes, I want to help out. Like, every Sunday while you go to the grocery store, I watch the kids and do laundry and get to watch football. Yeah. And that never used to be us. That's been like a new thing. Like, once I started working full time also, is that we had to sit down and have a conversation of, like, me coming to you saying, I'm going to need more help because I can't do this on my own. And you had to let go of some stuff for me to be able to do that. Yeah. But because you were willing to let go of some stuff and I was willing to jump in and help more, then it's worked out great. I love you.
I love you too.
We're just to set the setting. We're recording this while sitting next to a fire, sharing a glass of wine. So
yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah, it is.
Because our kids are being babysat somewhere else.
Yeah. Not by me.
Not by you.
Because then it wouldn't be babysitting, because that's outrageous.
But yeah, to finish this episode up, I think that, like you said, if it is causing resentment, like if you as a spouse, or even if the husband is watching the kids more, like if the wife is going off and doing things and she expects the husband to watch whatever, because there's different dynamics to every marriage. If it's causing resentment, it needs to be talked about. It needs to be taken seriously. And it's something that is going to probably cause a little bump in the road, but it's worth getting over the hump for, and hopefully can be worked out. And then if not, maybe you need to figure out some kind of solution to make it work.
Looking back on like our marriage, I can say that when we have had to have hard conversations, it ends up, even if it's hard in that
even
moment.
Even if it escalates.
Yeah. Like ultimately our marriage is stronger because of it.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about it, because we've dealt with it, because we've
and that doesn't mean we come with a solution like that night, but it's just bringing it to the table, like an awareness, and then working through it, and it coming up and talking about it, and it coming up and talking about it.
Because we work through the problem together as a team and come up with the solution as a team, then it makes us stronger as a team.
Yeah. Really, you're going to crunch when I start recording? Hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Make sure you go to patreon.com, search It Takes the Village, and support the podcast if you love what you're hearing. Also, don't forget to review and rate the podcast on iTunes. Catch you guys next time.